Welcome everybody to yet another tier list here today. Back at it like a crack addict. This one's going to be a shorter but no less promising tier list here today. It's going to be an interesting one. So, like usual, like our usual motto, we're doing some more anime stuff, right? I mean, that's pretty much all my tier lists so far, with the exception of the zombie apocalypse one, are all anime related. This time it's a little bit different though. You see, this time we're going to be doing a tier list since, I mean, I'm sure you can read, you clicked on this video, based on the title. We're going to be ranking my personal experiences with different visual novel protagonists, specifically romance visual novels, which are all anime, obviously, as you can clearly see. So there's not too many in this list because these are the visual novel games that I've played. Now, some of these I haven't played 100% through, but I've played enough of it, right? I know, I know the characters. And then there's I have 3 visual novels on my, on Steam that I haven't played yet, or on my library, that I haven't played, that I have downloaded. So, for example, Cafe Stella, Butterfly Reaper, something like that. I have that, but I haven't played it yet. So, this is a relatively short list, but I guarantee you the explanation will make up most of the time. Since usually these tier lists last a while, and that's with way more characters, right? So this should be a bit shorter than usual, but probably still 20 minutes long. Alright, we're just going to get started with the tiers here like usual. At the bottom, we have Madman. Now, I mixed it up this time. I've got some GIFs on the side as the images, rather than just naming the tiers like usual. So, obviously the tier names are not the funny part this time. Usually the name is supposed to be entertaining. This time the GIF is entertaining. So down here we have Madman. And we have the gif of Anakin yelling, "I hate you," at Obi-Wan. This is pretty much the tier meant for the main characters that are just, I actually hate playing as them. It's agonizing, right? Now, I was planning on doing a tier list of visual novel protagonists in general, but the only ones that wouldn't be from a romance visual novel on the list would have been from Danganronpa, and that's only one game series, so that's kind of, I decided to put a theme on it rather than just generalize it, and then the generalized version is basically the exact same, right? If I want action, I usually play anything but a visual novel game, right? Although there's some decent exceptions on here. Anyways, next here is a GIF of Homelander. It's "You're trash," right? This is for main characters that are I mostly don't like playing as them, but they're alright at times. I'm usually more indifferent to them. I don't know. It depends really. Next we have self-insert. Now, you could argue that half the entries in this list are self-inserts, because visual novels usually, they even let you pick the name. But the personality of a lot of these characters, they do have their own individual minds and personalities, right? Only a couple of these are actually, it's just you playing it, right? And then whatever the dialogue is whatever you choose, right? But beyond that, the character doesn't really have a personality, so it's just you. While some of these are more of you can pick their name, but they have their own personality. Next is That's the Hero. We got Noble. Oh, I forgot to point out the GIF, as you could obviously see, is SpongeBob in the episode titled Normal. Or it's something to do with being normal, right? And then he's just this dull husk of a former SpongeBob. Next up, we got That's the Hero. We got Noble Six Walking. This is for characters that are, they're not the best of the best. They have some weird or annoying flaws, but, that's my guy, right? That's the guy you can point at and say, that's my main character, okay? And then the top here we have, as you can obviously see, the Giga Chad. This is for main characters that are just, they're so beyond the leagues of mortal men that it's incredible. So without further ado, let's get straight into this, and we're starting off saving the best for first. Not what the line is, but I'm going with it anyways. Futuro. Futaro Uesugi. This man, now, I do want to preface, the reason I put him first is he's the only character on this list that isn't just from a visual novel game. He's from a show, so, and a manga. So, like, it's kind of cheating a little bit having him here, but also not really. This is from the Quintessential Quintuplets, 5 Memories Spent With You, and Memories of a Quintessential Summer. Both of those visual novel games, since I have both. I don't really need to say that much about Futaro. If you watched any of my other videos talking about anime, I'm sure I've brought him up in them. And then my previous tier list videos, I've mentioned him twice, right? He's been on 1 or 2 of these already. So I don't really need to explain him much more. He is a Chad. I mean, he's the Quintessential Quintuplets is a harem, right? And Futaro, he is that man. He's intelligent, a little bit arrogant, but he's not a limped loser like some of the individuals that you're used to seeing, and he's definitely a refreshing character to see. Now, in the visual novels, he obviously isn't voice acted most of the time, but his personality is basically the same as in the anime, right? So yeah, they did a great job. Spike did a great job at replicating his personality, definitely. So yeah, he's pretty much the same as in the anime. All right, next up we've got Love Kami, Useless Goddess, Sho Narumi, or is it Shu? I think it's Shu Narumi. Anyways, this man, I don't know. The ironic thing is these 2 tiers here are actually the closest to each other, and then the self-insert, even though it's in the middle, it's sort of its own thing, right? So ironically, these 2 slots are closer to each other. I don't really know. I don't remember too much about him. I know that he's nothing special, right? However, this is a Mo novel character, so you probably, when it comes to Mo novel, which, by the way, there's 3 Mo novel games on here. When it comes to Mo novel, you know the main character probably better than you do your own brother, right? Because, you spend literally hours and hours at a time with the main character, and it's purely their personality. For better and worse, you make almost no decisions in Mo novel visual novel games. That was redundant, but it's what we're going with. In If My Heart, I'm just going to put him here just so I don't have to hold my mouse. In If My Hearted Wings, you make 3 or 4 decisions throughout the entire game to get a route, essentially. For context, somehow, I have 20 hours more on If My Hearted Wings than I do on Kane's Wrath. We'll get to that game a bit later. Not Kane's Wrath, but If My Hearted Wings. That's in 2 slots. But, yeah, Love Kami, it commits this sin even worse. There's 1 decision you make in the entire game, for the 10 hours of reading and gameplay there is. And that's your decision to pick a character, essentially. Although they don't explicitly specify who goes with which, I don't think. I don't remember the decision. I don't know, the main character, he's kind of just there. I mean, he's not bad, but let me look here. Considering the options here, I'm gonna put him in that's the hero. Just because, yeah, I mean, he deals with some interesting conditions, right? The main heroine, quote unquote, is this goddess, essentially. I'm not gonna explain the whole Love Kami storyline thing, but he essentially gets them to turn their life around, and that prevents them from, I guess, dying. I haven't played the game in a while. So yeah, I'm gonna put him in that's the hero. Next up, we've got Making Lovers Kazuma. Madman. I don't even know where to begin with Kazuma, other than the fact that I hate his guts. Now, as I just said, this is the main character from Making Lovers. Okay, this man, he needs to be locked up. Matter of fact, just kill him. I don't even know where to begin with this man. Jesus, where do I start? Okay, So I've played 3 routes of this game so far, 3 of the 5. And let's see. So on Saki's route, he was the most normal. I don't even know where to begin with his personality. He's blunt, foul-mouthed, very vulgar. Weird does not begin to describe him. Literally, insane is the only word I can think of to describe him. He is out of his mind, okay? Now, it depends on what route you pick to determine how out of his mind he is, but he's a lunatic. His parents, his family line, his sibling, yeah, they're all maniacs as well, so it makes sense, right? Which is weird because in the Akko route, he basically says that he's adopted, right? Well, clearly he melded with his, adopted family's traits because they're all insane and so is he. I don't even know, playing as him is probably one of the most frustrating experiences I've ever had playing a video game outside of, playing Chaos Insurgency Sandstorm or fighting a friend on Titanfall 2, right? I mean, this man is he makes it a miserable experience, and it depends on how bad it is. In the Saki route, he's sort of I don't want to say, I'd say sex addict, probably the best way to put it. He gets bad, but I mean he's mostly normal in that route, with the exception of his language and jokes that are terrible and his weird actions and all that crap with Hamjuro the hamster. I don't even know where to begin. And then with the Akko route, for context, this man, he's so weird that the route with his sister, the romance route, because this is a romance game, the romance route with his sister is somehow less weird than some of these other routes. I don't even know how that's possible, but it is. I mean, this man, he's a new level of horror. I don't even know where to begin with him. Yet, what else? That whole route is just his worst attributes presented, right? You have to look this man up to understand what I'm talking about. And then, what else? I'm not even going to get into all that crap with his sister. That's all weird. And then his route with Reina is miserable. It's absolutely miserable. He gets walked on and he just doesn't do anything about it. And then he essentially gets, I mean, he is a limp loser, right? He gets roped into this whole, not engagement, I'm just going to say relationship with Reina, which is the heroine of that route. And she is probably, I'm going to have a whole nother tier list for characters in visual novel games that you pursue, essentially, right? Like the love interests. That's it. I'm going to have a whole tier list for the love interests of these different games. And she's probably my least favorite. No joke. She is miserable to be around most of the time, right? She's gotten better halfway through the route, but oh my god, it's absolutely... It makes me want to gouge my eyes out. And he just goes along with it, right? He is a fool. So I've rambled a long time for him. Now for the next longest person I'm going to talk about, Aoi Minase. We're putting him in, that's the hero. Let me explain. Aoi is a certain interesting kind of individual, okay? He's interesting in the sense that he's a mix of the top tier and bottom tier at the same time. That's pretty much, he's the sole reason I made this tier, as a matter of fact, is he's this weird middle ground, right? For starters, he is a monovel character, which means that 49 hours of freaking gameplay is certainly enough to learn somebody's personality, right? I don't even think I spent 49 hours with people in real life, right? So with this man, oh my god, you get every element of his personality. He's both a Chad and also this meek little, I don't even know. He's just 1 minute he's I'm your man, and then the next minute he's what? Wait, no, there's a misunderstanding, right? And he's pretty much like the ultimate vessel of every bad anime trope you could possibly get, right? So, like, every time something happens, this is a big pet peeve of mine, and it's like 95% of the time it happens in anime specifically. They love this trope, and it's whenever something happens and it's a misunderstanding, and a character tries to explain that it's a misunderstanding, but instead of leading with the explanation, they love to do that BS where they go, hang on, wait, I can explain, right? And then that gives somebody else the time to butt in or chime in with something or interrupt them or walk away or whatever, right? And then they have to frantically try to explain it, and they do it in this futile and foolish way. It's stupid, right? And he's the king of it. All right, he does it every 5 minutes. This man gets accused of more crap than any other character on this list, and he just takes it, right? He gets ganged up on all the time, right? It makes you want to say, hey, owie, grow a pair and tell everyone to screw off or, hop off, okay? It gets annoying. But at the same time, he's a decently mature character, and he's at the very least, like, you could follow him as a main character, right? He has some good interactions with characters. I'm thinking of, like, with Hotaru. I'm thinking of with Agaha. I mean, he's got some decent ones, right? So, overall, he's going in this tier. Next up's a pretty simple one, Hush Hush / Crush Crush. Both of them have the same idea for a main character. It's a self-insert, right? Like, the name is custom. The character is literally, as you can see in this image, a white marshmallow, basically. Doesn't even have a visual appearance. He's just there, right? He's just a husk for the player to possess, to do things, right? And all of his dialogue is pretty much chosen by the player. So, yeah. Or influenced by the player, at the very least. Next is Find Love or Die Trying, instant Giga Chad tier. This man, I don't even... Let me check out what his name is. I don't think... Yeah, the name is never said because you choose the name. Maybe there was a name that was the default, but I don't remember it because I chose a custom name for this one. Find Love or Die Trying. Well, for starters, he probably survives the highest stakes of anyone in this list. Yeah, I'd say he survives the highest stakes. Beyond the supernatural crap that's in Doki Doki, of course, but, like, minus that. I mean, even in that game, you're not, like, you aren't inherently in danger, just the other characters are, right? But in Find Love or Die Trying, I'm not going to explain the whole plot, but long story short, you're on this island, on this game show, and you're supposed to find one of the 7 women that are pretty much on the island, and you have to... The idea is that you have to interact with them, and then you get to leave with just one of them, and then you don't know what happens to the others. However, you're basically held hostage the entire time, and the slightest drop in ratings can result in your untimely death, right? And then all these other events happen, right? You're constantly threatened. Long story short, he and the rest of them managed to make it off the island, canonically, that is, and then you get to choose one of the characters, right? This man, he's got it, right? Now, he's kind of weird at times, but overall, he's put through it, and he's also definitely he's one of the more mature individuals on this list. Speaking of maturity, we're going to focus on the complete and total opposite of maturity, where we have Dokyosai Bing and Summer. Okay, the main character in this game, which is Takaru, he's pretty much like, I know he's like 20 or 21 or something when the game takes place, but like, picture the immaturity of like an 18-year-old teenage dude, and that's pretty much Takaru in a nutshell. He's basically like, he's what you picture the typical jock to be, but he's also a loser at the same time, right? That's pretty much just what he is. However, he has this, I'm putting him in your trash instead of Madman because I don't hate him. In fact, I find him to be a pleasantly enjoyable main character in the sense of 2 reasons. Number 1, he can be mature when he needs to be. Okay, so like, he can drop all the crap and then do what needs to be done, right? So he's pretty much just a normal guy. That's his whole thing. The second thing, is that he's easily the most entertaining main character in this entire list. He is hilarious most of the time, that is, and I love his sarcasm, right? And he also is able to get around very well, and he's like the Chad that nobody wants to be the Chad. That's basically it. If I had to put it into caveman terms. All right, next up, we've got A Sky Full of Stars, the last Mo novel character on this list. We have Akido. I'm going to go with Akido. I'm going to put him in That's the Hero. You know what I'm just noticing right here? I should have just labeled this tier Mo novel because all three of the individuals in this tier are all Mo novels characters. They do a good job of, like, having main characters that play to the stupid, annoying tropes in anime, but then they're also like a decent main character. They're pretty much your average kind of VN protagonist, right? There's not really much to be said with him. That's pretty much it. Although I do think the Astronomy Club is lamer than the Soaring Club. I'm just saying. I like If My Heart Had Wings more. I'm going to put him a little bit. There we go. Okay, next up is Doki Doki Literature Club. You're trash. Now, I want to say, first of all, he's not fully a self-insert character because he does have a personality within himself. Now, I know the entire point of Doki Doki Literature Club is basically, it's one giant fourth wall break, right? And Monica addresses you, the player, directly, and then the protagonist is just this puppet that the player uses, right? And that's acknowledged within the game. However, he does have a personality within himself, and he does have a certain charm to him. That being said, anyone who knows my channel probably knows I hate Doki Doki Literature Club, so I have kind of a bias here. I don't know. Yeah, he's kind of just nothing of importance. There's something that I remembered when I started this video, and now I forgot it, and it was about this individual, and I don't remember what it was. But he's definitely put through it, that's for certain. However, he kind of just, like, he doesn't take advantage of any of the stuff that happens, right? He doesn't use the whole everything getting snapped into the shadow realm to his advantage, right? He doesn't play that in a sense of like, hey, try to give me whatever I want. Clearly you can control this reality, right? So how about you get me something in return, or nothing like that. No, it's just pretty much like, oh, hey, you're in the shadow realm now. Have fun, and then that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much. Although it's mostly not the fault of him, right? I would put him in self-insert, probably if it wasn't for my bias. But there's always bias, so who cares? Speaking of bias, immediate top Giga Chad tier. We have John from Crimson Gray. I don't know what there is to be said about this man. If you haven't seen Crimson Gray, if you haven't seen anybody play the game, I would suggest Manly Badass Hero. I'd suggest him on YouTube, that is. I would suggest his gameplay for that. That is definitely the best gameplay for Crimson Gray. That being said, this man, I don't even know where to be. I'll drop him a tier or just a little bit lower than Futuro. But yeah, this man, John, basically the bottom line is he starts off with major depression, right? High-functioning depression, but clearly it's terrible, right? Everything is gray to him. Everything is terrible to him. Long story short, he's being stalked by a yandere named Lizzie. And he goes through this whole game. They sort of get close, and then he gets kidnapped. And then canonically, right? I'm saying canonically because this is confirmed from Dusk and Dawn, which is sort of like a follow-up game. It's more like Crimson Gray 1.5, right? So it's not quite a second game, I would say. But, yeah, so canonically, he basically, he gets out of the basement. Not by escaping. No, he does it the Chad way. And then they manage to build a surprisingly healthy relationship. And then he goes off to college. He basically is responsible somewhat for the takedown of Koitek, which is basically this big pharmaceutical company. It's like Umbrella Corporation, all right? So he's like half the reason that they end up collapsing. And then him and Lizzie sort of, not go on the run, but go into hiding, sort of, go to college, and then he keeps her from, mass murdering everybody around them. He's a mature individual. He definitely becomes better. He has great character development, and he keeps a mass murderer from, completely losing it. So he's like everything you want in a main character when it comes to that kind of scenario. Okay, he's the yandere counterpart, right? Protagonist, target, obsession, object of obsession, whatever you want to call it. He's what you want in that kind of character. All right, and then last is a self-insert. It's 7 Deadly Days. The character is entirely personality-wise based on the options that you choose in the game. I just included it here because it fits the criteria of what belongs on here. Anyways, that's got to do it. Now, this video is a little bit longer than I expected, but I would say the results are about what I was expecting. However, surprisingly, the top 2 tiers did get the most characters. I gotta say, that is definitely interesting because I did not expect it. I was expecting a lot, worse results. But yeah, I already know who was gonna be at the bottom when I started. He's actually the reason I wanted to start with this list, was Kazuma, because that man makes me miserable. But other than that, that's all for this time. If you enjoyed, you want to check out another tier list or check out a different video of mine, please like, comment. I'll see you next time. Goodbye. They think that using the zombies as a weapon is a good idea. I just missed every single shot in an enemy that was 1 inch in front of me. Why is the FNAF 2 hallway theme playing? Wait. Oh, God! Jesus. Oh. You can't reload, fast enough, huh? Oh, yeah, she's done. We got emplacements. Oh, she beat Acerola to death. Gonna be getting paid a lot for this one. Okay, well, looks like they've arrived a little earlier than expected to get this thing started. Let's get out of here.